Hello and most welcome to Alexander Technique from the basement. We are down in the dungeons. There's no sunlight here. But we have our good friend Kalle Lundahl here to help us out with new Alexander Technique adventures. Hooray!
Number 32.
32.
December 30th. 20th.
And we know that humor is the essence of life. Without it, we have only damnation and sorrow. It's pure evil, as Edward de Bono called it. Pure evil. But where humor resides, we have energy, love, and also balance, which we will look at today. Let's see if we can do the monkey just quickly here with the test subject. Kalle Lundahl. Maybe we can, would it be okay to stand like this?
Yes.
So we can see you from the side, if possible, yeah. And this is a perfect opportunity, is 4:30 and you being inside and working all day hard. Have you taken any break?
No.
No, that's good. Tension is visible. See if we can ease off any of this. Yes. Can you feel the ease that's coming on slowly? The movement is a bit stiff here. So I'm manipulating your head almost like a ball bearing. So I find where it's softer, where it's not so hard to move your head. So this is the manipulation that Alexander called it. It's not really manipulation. If you do not cooperate, I can't do anything. It's very good. You can do the nodding and think of a big smile at the back of your head. So you're happy, you're filled with joy, and there's a lot of humor going on here. It's a fantastic life. Let's see here. See if I can release the shoulders a bit here. Yeah! You know the directions now. What a difference it makes. You're moving about here in a quite different manner. And now you can feel also the shoulders participating. Nice direction. Keep the balance and then see if we can. That should. Yes, very good. Big openness around you, and you're at the beach once more. In Saint-Tropez, that economically very hard place to stay at. Saint-Tropez. What a low chair. Then we have no other option than to go into a lower monkey. Very good. Openness. And think a direction going forward. So especially in the case of the mirror neurons, thinking is what happens before we, I would say after the collapse, before the collapse of the superposition. So the thinking Alexander talking about is the active one, that is before a thought becomes a thinking about thinking itself. The secondary thought. It's there when we usually say that time and space come into action. So the event is where the thought is. Very good. Now it's much softer. This softness comes about because of the monkey itself. And I can look, that's the hip joint. Very good. And you are directing upwards. It's very good, Kalle. Up, and you can go down again. But you're not bending down. Very good. This is incredible. I see how far down I can take you here. Very far. Wow, 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 wow. This is crazy far. We won't go that crazy this time. So can you feel how easily you bend now?
Yes.
Even though it's almost 5 o'clock. Oh, I think I even initiated some more balance here. I think that there is a little drop of water, the drop of water is slowly going over the ridge of the nose like this.
Mm.
So that would be a very small thought, because you don't want like a basketball hanging from your nose. So just a little bit. That is usually enough to, you can look up if you want to. This is usually, that drop would be just enough to open up the sort of lock here that we usually have, and then you can go up. So this is a bit forward, very little. It won't really be visible. I can feel it when I sort of manipulate your head, but that will open up the upward. There is actually one first, the drop, and then you have the upward movement, but they also happen simultaneous. I think that makes sense now after the lectures we had. So one after another, but also at the same time. And now I can feel that you put a drop on the nose of the ridge. You're much easier to nod now. You bending exactly in the hip joint. You couldn't do that a couple of weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I think. You go up, and I can even help you go up. Very good. And do not overstretch. Yeah, you continue like that. Very, very good. You are now actively directing even your neck, just as you do with your fingers, with your hand. So this movement, if I direct it, is much easier. All of a sudden, I have better control of my hand, even if I go back. That you also do with your head. And since this is called the primary control, it sort of rules everything else you do in your hands, with your back, with your knees, with your feet. So this is the primal mover, so to speak. But it also comes simultaneous with all the others. So you're more than welcome to do a little exercise.
Moon greeting.
Moon greeting.
Chandra Namaskar. So where, in which directions the dropping now? Isn't it dropping really?
Just a little drop, and
Yes, but where, in which direction is it going?
goes this direction.
Yes, but naturally it would not go in that direction. Because if there was a real drop going,
No, that's
there's
true.
an artificial drop
It's an artificial drop, yeah.
going in the wrong direction.
Yes. Well, you can change it. You can say it's a small animal like ant. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
If you prefer, you can put an ant there. If you're not afraid of ant. Or a beetle. Scarabee, a small scarabee. Why don't you put a small scarabee there? But it needs to be miniature.
No, I'm exaggerating. I think it's good to exaggerate.
Yeah, the monkey. Yeah, well, yeah, why not? Yeah, sure. Keep the freedom here and the humor. The humor is actually the key to the whole thing. Stiff-necked people, the monosemi people, they don't have humor. As my old professor was a complete lack of humor. Outside the school hall, yes, but never during lectures. And I think that's very pointing to that he upholds tension even in the words. So the small ant is still walking down the ridge of the nose, doing its job, helping you to unlock the skull so that you can move upward. Stop there and widen here between the shoulders, and you also lengthen here. Okay, yes, this is no need to tense. Continue a little bit. Very good. Yeah, you're very free, free as a bird. Also duly noted, I am part of the process, so I need to be taking care of myself while showing what I can show. The little I know.
this is the only position where I don't really know how to put hands. But they are a little bit tricky. I don't know if there is
Does that work out for you?
I don't know. If you think this is okay.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So it's fingers like this and
Use this. If you want, I can check for tension, but you look fairly balanced in that position. Yeah. It's not uncomfortable. Continue to widen between the shoulders as well, so you get even broader than you are now.
But what do you think is the purpose of this particular position? I don't know. Balance? I don't know. It's difficult to say. I should read about this position.
Some of these positions are a couple of thousand years old. Direction there, and yes, go up from the fingers as well as the head. And you can widen in between the shoulders, if that makes sense. So you imagine that to be more space between your shoulder blades. Very good. You're making a very deep monkey.
So I'm going up and down a little bit to feel the hip joint.
Yes, you can also move the hip joint without going up and down. So I will show you. Give us a second. You can remain in the same height and you can go this.
Yes.
So, and this. Now you're just moving the hip joint.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
Only the upper chest, so to say.
Only the hip, only the hip.
Yes, the hip moves the chest, so to say.
Yeah, move the whole body, including the head and the arms. That's the joint that we've forgotten to use, the hip joint. Instead, we try to move at the waist, and that is very troublesome. That's causative of back pain. So if I carry something this way, it will put a tremendous weight on my column. Or working this way, I bend over like this. But you can easily bend here at the hip instead.
Chandra Namaskar.
So if you can go down to the monkey yourself, see if you can see that separate and let some air in here. So you can still keep your up, yeah, there, yeah. You feel the nodding is much easier now. I think one reason we actually tense our necks is we're trying to concentrate, and I think sometimes we need that. But you will also learn that you can focus in another way. I'd say the Alexander technique is learning a completely new way of experience things. It's a sort of openness. You can go up a bit. Yes, now you are moving the hip. So now you also understand why the monkey is so good. Here you can widen. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Between the shoulders. So we go from this to this. You don't force your shoulders apart, you just think it. Their natural tendency is to be free. I would say the whole body's natural tendency, once we experience, is to be free, to do what we want. But there is no freedom in this, not as much as anyway. And learning about mirror neurons, it could be that, are we into that too much, fixating? There is no freedom for us, but it can always be achieved. It never is lost. It is never lost, maybe is more correct English. Very good, that's fantastic. You know the hip joint now. Don't let anybody trick you out of this knowledge. And since you are grown up now, you won't abandon the hip joint. But as we were children, our minds were sort of focused on other stuff. So we slowly became forgetful of the hip joint. Because when we are 3 or 4 or 5 years old, children are always using the hip joint correctly. You can, maybe in Christmas you can see some children somewhere, and you see that they're actually using the hip joint in the correct way. And then it gets lost, mainly because of chairs. Thank you very much. Have a very happy day. Bye bye, and thank you, Kalle Lundahl. It's so good to see that you're using the hip joint.